The current event that I chose to talk about is the killing of a Utah University student. I chose an article from Huffington Post, and I felt that being a college student, the topic of domestic violence needs to be talked about more. Domestic violence among college students and relationships are still part of family violence. Lauren Mikowski is the woman that was shot and killed by an older man whom she had a relationship with earlier in the school year. She had warned friends and police and the university. Mikowski was 21 years old and had a relationship with a 37-year-old man named Melvin Rowland. Lauren had made reports to the police, and it should have been looked at right away, considering that Melvin was already on parole for being a convicted sex offender. The cultural structures around Lauren was that she was a college student having more access to older men and freedom to see who she wanted. She lives on campus, meaning that her family was not very involved and was going in her life, what was going on in her life and personal life. The environment influenced the event of violence to happen because she was able to have alone time with this man and was able to lie to her friends about what was going on. Melvin lied to Lauren about himself, including age, who he was, a convicted sex offender, and that he was on non-parole. He also wanted to keep her away from her friends, making the environment that she was in unsafe and could allow violence to happen because no one around to protect her. Our culture affects the media's portrayal of this event because our culture wants us to pretend like there will be something done to prevent this from happening again. Every article I read, the police don't believe that what the reports are being called in for, and the results are near-death experience or death itself. The issue is that our culture wants us to make up excuses for the reason why something wasn't done. For example, not having enough evidence, the police staff wasn't trained well, they didn't know Melvin was on parole. We see this so often with domestic violence cases, especially within the family, because friends or other family members may make up excuses and deny that the person could hurt or abuse anyone. The theory that helps me understand the violence described in this current event was frustration aggression theory. I chose this theory because Melvin was angry that Lauren stopped seeing him, and when he found out she reported him several times, he was angry. Lauren was blocking Melvin's goal to be with her caused him to become aggressive and angry. His frustration later led him to abducting her and shooting her. To interpret violence from an individual, institution, society, and cultural levels, I believe we need to pay more attention to violence and believe when someone says they are in danger despite the evidence. From the standpoint of an individual, if they are being abused, look for someone you trust. If you are in a situation where your life is being threatened, like Lauren, did she have a close friend that she could go to help with what was happening? This leads to the institution. The University of Utah got reports from her friends and family, and also got reported to the University of Utah Department of Public Safety multiple times, and nothing was done. As a college student, this is something I fear. As a college police department, something should have been done and looked at immediately, especially if there were multiple reports from multiple people. Our society and culture has normalized abuse, emotional and physical, making it hard to report. Some resources that you would need to achieve the steps above would have more available on campus. We learned about consent over a video about tea. Although it gets to the point, I don't feel like I learned what I can do in those situations. Where do I go as an individual? Are there places like professors you trust, friends you trust? Trust is important, and finding someone you can call or go to in case something serious happens is a good idea. The institution could have more counselors, more police programs, and talks on campus, telling students not only what about consent means, but if you see something happening on campus, or if you are the person who is unconscious or almost unconscious and can't give consent, what can you do? As a society and culture, educate yourselves. Establish someone you can trust. If you are in an abusive relationship, go to a counselor and police department right away. Don't wait. Some challenges that may occur is that you don't have a teacher, family member, or friend to trust, or the person you trust most lives miles away. To overcome this challenge, talk to that person. Ask them, what should I be looking for in a person I can trust? What qualities am I looking for when things might be going south in a relationship? For the institution, the challenge you could encounter might be that when you report the issue, nothing happens. They might not believe you. Go to another authority figure, a teacher, a counselor, a coach, teammate, a head of another department. The most you can do is report. Also, stay at home, or be with big groups of people, don't go places alone, or carry pepper spray. Campuses should have more video cameras, police walking around or driving during the day and night. As a college student, we see more being done about parking tickets and parking spaces than when reports are getting made. As a society, we might face the challenges that domestic violence is even happening. It is hard to accept that this can happen. As a parent, you don't want to send your child to a new place in hopes that you are being protected and some tragic, like being shot, happens. We can overcome this challenge by talking to authorities and learning what to do in these situations. I am a psychology major, so I can apply the knowledge I learned from this current event and use it in my study of field. Because it is very important as psychologists to be able to see the signs of someone who is in an abusive relationship or lives in a family that has abuse. Being the person that is someone in a domestic situation is very important. Learning to build trust with the clients, letting them know they can be open with you, and when they do report something, that something will be handled immediately. The challenges I face while completing this assignment and trying to apply this storyline to a theoretical framework is that I struggle with figuring out which framework fit best with the story that I chose. There are so many to choose from, and it is hard picking just one.